strange acquaintances.
Okay, we're rolling.
All right, this is a home interview, Troy, New York. It is the 6th of July, 2006, approximately 12:15. The interviewers are Wayne Clark and Mike Russert. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
Lewis Buck, L-E-W-I-S-B-U-C-K.
Where and when were you born?
6/8/23 in Clinton, New York.
All right. What was your educational background prior to entering service?
I finished the 3 years of high school, then went into service.
Okay. What was were you employed at all before you went into service?
Yeah. Yeah, employed as a mechanic helper.
Okay. Do you remember where you were when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
No, I don't. That one I don't quite remember.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you enlist or were you drafted?
No, I enlisted.
Okay, you enlisted in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Why did you pick the Marine Corps?
I thought that was the best one to go in.
Mm-hmm. And you said your brothers all went in,
Yeah,
also?
all my brothers went in.
How many brothers did you have then?
We had four. Four went in. And one went in the Army.
Okay. Where were you inducted?
Syracuse, New York.
And where did you go for basic training?
Green Island.
Okay. How long was your basic?
I think we were there about. We went to Green Island, then we went to Paris Island. We were there about 6 months.
What was basic training like? What was basic training like?
It was a new life altogether. It was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of regimentation and that, but it was good.
Mm-hmm. Now, was this the first time you were away from home?
No, I was in a home when my father died. After my father died.
Okay. All right. Where were you assigned after you left Paris Island?
The 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines.
Okay. And where was that?
New River, North Carolina.
All right. And where did you go after you got to New River and were assigned to the 1st Marines?
Well, we went to San Diego and then shipped right out to. We went to New Zealand.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you trained, did you train on the M1 or the 03?
The 03.
You did?
Yeah.
When did you receive your M1s?
But I'm a little hard of hearing.
When did you receive the M1?
Oh, they after Guadalcanal.
Oh, so you had 03s on Guadalcanal?
Yeah, that was I think that was the last battle they used the 03s.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you went to New Zealand, and where did you go from there? How long were you in New Zealand?
We were there about probably a week or two. We refitted in New Zealand, and then we went from there to Guadalcanal.
Mm-hmm. Now, were you on the first wave?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it like?
A cakewalk. Believe it or not. We went in and there was no resistance.
Mm-hmm. But then you found resistance.
Well,
how long were you there before they started?
We were there, let's see, we were there a month or two before they hit us on the Tenaru.
Mm-hmm.
Our battalion was stationed on the Tenaru.
When you went ashore, you had the old Higgins boats where you went over the side?
Yeah.
All right. Now, what happened when the Japanese attacked you along the Tenaru?
They hit about, I I think about 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, what happened was is, our ship, with all of our equipment, went down. The George F. Elliott, we were on the George F. Elliott, and that got sunk. And all we had on it was just what we had, our rifle and equipment, that's all we had.
Now, some of the Marines refer to it as Starvation Island. Did you have a lot of trouble with food and supplies?
Yeah, I guess so. Everything went. Yeah, the Navy ran out on us in 3 days when they had to, but they pulled out. And we were short of supplies, yeah.
How did you feel when the Navy left?
Like marooned. You felt like you were marooned, you know. They took and you were gone, or you were just sitting there, and with all that's all you had on your back. And it was, and on the Tenaru, you only had one strand of barbed wire. That's all we had. It was tough. We were short on everything, short on food, short of supplies. And then until they started to get the ships back and bring in the equipment, then you know we felt a little bit better.
How long did that take to be resupplied?
Oh, they were months. They were months. I can remember you getting up for breakfast and having the Japanese hardtacks and tomatoes.
So you were eating the captured Japanese food?
Yeah, Japanese food, plus the K rations that we had. Yeah, it was tough. Everybody went down to skin and bones.
Can you describe your battles while you were there? What it was like, the living conditions and so on?
Yeah, the Tenaru was that was a short battle. When that one ended, the Japs that were crossing the spit and they hit the barbed wire. They were stacked up to 2 and 3 deep, right across the whole spit. And of course they ended the battle by flanking them with the 5th. And they drove the rest of them into the sea, and of course the story was that the commander there, he committed suicide. But that was the big battle that we were in.
Did you have a problem with malaria or any tropical disease or anything?
Yeah, that was rampant. I ended up with malaria in Australia. I finally caught it.
Were you ever wounded during your time in the service?
No. Had my shoulder dislocated, but that was.
How did that happen?
That was when the Japanese, the Navy come in for a week and shelled us every night, trying to knock out Henderson Field. And they, one of those 18 inches they were shooting fell short, and we were in like a bunker. Geez, the darn thing caved in on us.
Oh.
And pretty sure we didn't know how long we were in there, and then he finally took us out. But we all survived it. It's just one of those things.
What was your equipment like? How did you feel when you got the Grand over the 03?
I got the Tommy gun.
Oh, you got a Tommy.
I got a Tommy gun. And that was an improvement.
Now, how did you ever have any operational problems with it, with the humidity and the mud and so on?
No. We cleaned them every day. So you had to. You had to be careful with that mud wasp. You'd get down and plug the barrel up.
How do you think your equipment compared to that of the Japanese?
Well, with I think the 03 was better. It was a better rifle. It was accurate.
What did you think of the Japanese as fighters?
They were tough.
Mm-hmm.
They were smart, they were tough, they were in the service before we got there, and a lot of these guys we were fighting were regular troops.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had years and years of experience. But I wouldn't say they were better than we were.
Mm-hmm.
How would you rate your officers?
Yeah, they were good. They were good.
How about the men in your unit?
Yeah, they were equally as well. They were there.
What medals or decorations did you ever receive?
Let's see, I received a meritorious promotion to corporal. Two commendations, one from the Marine Corps, one from the Navy. And of course, and then the meritorious promotion, that's a good conduct medal.
How much time did you spend overseas, all total?
About 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
About 2.5 years.
Were there any things that happened to you that kind of stand out as either being something emotional or humorous or?
Yeah, there's 2 or 3. After the Battle of New Britain, they sent us our outfit. It was only we were only probably a group of about 50. Halfway down the island, and we went in every day as a small raiding group to see catch the Japs, to see where they were evacuating, you know, when they coming down the island. And the funny part, we were sneaking down the trail one day, and there was a log across the trail, and we were eyeballing that. We were wondering just whether we go around that corner, and what it was, we thought, you know, was an ambush.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden this Jap jumps up on top of this log. And he's waving his arms like this here, and he starts dancing up the log and down the log and up the log and down the log. And I stood there, I finally went like this to him. And he jumps down, he runs up, he shakes everybody's hand. What he was a laborer. And he was glad to see, he was glad to see us. That was, you had a laugh of you know. There were funny parts of the war.
Uh-huh.
But the one that really sticks out is, I was in combat intelligence, and I was the chief scout observer. And of course, I went to eight weeks of schooling in Australia on it. And we went on a patrol. I had to go out with the natives. I had to learn pidgin English. I had to go out with the natives because they had to meet us at this river with the canoes. And I made the arrangements, and we went over. There was only a small group of us, maybe about 25, 30 men. And we got on the canoes, we went up the river. And we got off at a village. Now we had to cut across country to come to the other river. Don't ask me what the name of it was. It was a big river. And we had to cross there. Well, we got down to the river. On the way down, we killed a couple of Japs. We got down to the river, and we all got in the canoes, and we crossed. And went on the other side, and we went up the steep embankment. Well, lo and behold, when we got over there was no trails. And I had sent the canoes back, but we only kept one canoe. And I asked the native, and we couldn't go up. We couldn't go upriver because it was all a dense jungle. You couldn't go through it because of the big swamp,
Mm-hmm.
and you couldn't go back to the ocean because of you were going right through this big swamp. So we discussed what we were going to do. We could either get in the canoe, one canoe, and take everybody back on the other side. And then from there, we'd have to hike all the way back to where we started from and try to get a canoe there. So I said to him, well, I said to the lieutenant, I said, what the heck? I said, I'll get in the canoe and I'll go down and bring the canoes back. So I got in the canoe, me and the native, and away we went. I said, I'll be back in the morning. Went all the way down the river through the enemy territory. I get picked up about 10, 15 canoes. We all come back the next morning, come up there, got the troops off, took the Marines back out again, and met a landing barge out there, and then he took us down to our little island. But we went up and down there. I went up and down 3 times. We never got shot at.
Were there any USO shows at all over there that you got to see?
Let's see. On Good Enough Island, I was walking down the road, and who was standing there talking to the guy with Gary Cooper? And I went up and I was talking to Gary Cooper, and you know, there was 3 or 4 of us talking to Gary Cooper. He's the only one we ever saw.
Wow.
Yeah. He was a tall, lanky guy, nice guy.
Now you said you were in Peleliu?
Yeah.
Were you in Peleliu?
Yeah.
Okay, what was that like? Now there you had the amphibious tractors when you went in.
Yeah, yeah, we went in with the amphibious tractor. That was a tough one. That was a tough one. We landed. When we landed, we didn't land on the point. We landed on Beach Red, and we took off. We went right to the airfield. And while we were waiting to cross the airfield, that was our first objective. And we were waiting to cross the airfield. These are about 10 tanks, Japanese tanks, come tearing across the airfield, and they went right across in front of us. And there was a whole, each one had about 10 guys on them. And man, that was a shooting gallery I was going to go. I never heard so much shooting in all my life. And there a half track was coming up the road with a 75 on, and he hit the first track, the first tank, and of course that blocked him, and then they spun around, they started to go back. Well, when he hit that tank, with all these people on, I can remember Sergeant Splain was sitting there, hit a shell hole, and an arm come flying over and landed in his lap.
Oh boy.
And one guy said to him, Jesus didn't think, he said, the man come over to shake hands with you. But when we crossed the airfield, it was just like a scene in World War II when they were charging. This whole division's going across that airfield. And I would tear it across it. And I run across this guy, George LaChance. He was a corporal in my outfit. And he's on his hands and knees. And I said, what are you doing down there? A shell went off and he got hurt. He blew his partial out. He was on his hands and knees looking for his partial.
Oh.
I mean, these are funny things that happen, you know. And the other one was, the guy in front of us was going along, and a Japanese artillery shell come in. And you're not going to believe this. That guy was running. The shell went off underneath him. The guy done a flip and landed on his feet and was still running. Well, we got on the other side. We were all looking him over. And he said, what are you looking for? We couldn't believe that he wasn't hurt. But it was just something that happened. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you have any R&R while you were out in the Pacific?
No,
it must have between some of the.
Let's see. We didn't have it in New Zealand because we were busy. We went to Australia for 8 months. It took that length of time to get the division back in shape again.
What was that, after Peleliu? Or
No, after Guadalcanal.
After Guadalcanal?
Yeah, that was the only place we went for R&R after that.
That must have been quite a relief to be in Australia for 8 months
Oh yeah, yeah.
after all that combat.
I can remember getting off of the ship, and all I was wearing was the Japanese shirt and a Japanese pair of pants. That's all I found to wear. We didn't have any, our stuff was going with the ship when it went down.
Mm-hmm.
The soles of my shoes, I had to wear rawhide tied around my shoes to hold my soles on. The shoes are rotting off my feet.
Mm.
Boy, we must have looked a sorry mess coming, walking down the middle of Albert from the pier. Everybody disheveled, skinny, and gaunt. Everybody must have lost about 40, 50 pounds while they were there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have pictures of Vandergriff, and when he was there, you see the weight he lost. Yeah. When they say Starvation Army Island, boy, that was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Then I woke up in 4th General Hospital. I was out for a week or so with malaria, and I didn't even know it. I went to a hotel, and I woke up in the hospital. I had that darn thing.
Has that bothered you at all after?
Yeah, oh yeah. Every once in a while I get the chills and freezing. It comes back. I don't know. You know, comes back once in a while. You feel chilly and cold.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I come back with a fungus that I had for what, about 8, 9 months. I had a fungus all over my body. I looked like a leopard.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to an old German doctor, and he prescribed a salve for me, and we put it on, and it did the trick. It took it off.
Now, when did you return from the Pacific?
After Palau.
Mm-hmm.
I was down there. I was in 8th and I Street, Washington D.C. I was on the. I was up to Shangri-La for 3 months. President's Retreat, Camp David they call it today.
Mm-hmm.
I was up there doing guard duty, guarding the president.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever get to talk to the president personally, or?
No.
Did you see him often, or?
No, we only saw him once.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the funeral detail there in Washington D.C. You know, up there. In fact, I don't go to funerals today. I went 3 or 4 funerals a day on that thing for about 2 months. I think that was the toughest duty I had.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Seeing all these people there, sad people, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, with the war and everything, that was a tough one.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you say you were on duty at the president's funeral?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, you had funeral duty. Was that in Arlington, or where were the?
Yeah, I was doing Arlington. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Whereabouts were you when you heard about the death of the president?
Let me think now. I think I was down 8th and I Street. I think it was in 8th and I Street.
Okay.
How did you feel? This was probably the only person that was a president during your lifetime. How did you feel when you found out about that?
It was a loss. You know, you lost a great man.
Mm-hmm. What was your reaction when you heard about the dropping of the atomic bombs?
Well, that one kind of surprised me, because I didn't know what an atomic bomb was.
Right, yeah.
You know, and in fact, when I heard that, I was doing guard duty in the brig in 8th and I.
Uh-huh.
And the fellows come in, they said they just dropped an atomic bomb, and well, we didn't know what an atomic bomb was, but it didn't take long to find out. It was, I believe it was a necessity. It ended the war in a hurry.
Mm-hmm. Now, when were you discharged?
19 January of '46, I believe it was.
Now, were you two married at all at that time, or
Yeah.
were you married while you were in the service, or before you?
Well, when I come back, I got married.
Oh, okay.
That's why he came back. we always say that. Now, this is funny, and it's not funny, but Lou and I lived together as young people. No, don't take my picture.
Okay.
And anyway, as Lou said, Lou was only 11 when his father died.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he had gone home. He had enlisted. He came home. He was home about a week. Sends me a telegram. He says, "Let's get married." I said, "Okay." We got married December the 11th, 1944. He came back in November, and we were married. And then he did his other year.
Wow.
And I set up a little apartment for us in Utica. That's where his family was from.
Mm-hmm.
It was, this is when people got married young, and most men who came home from the wars didn't want to go home to their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you've probably heard that, which is true. They lived in those years that they were in. It was a heck of a thing to be a teenager and then to come back after that experience
Mm-hmm.
and to say, "Here I am, Mom." You know, there was just something. But Lou, I'd wake up in the night, Lou would be gone. He'd be walking the streets. He couldn't go to bed and stay in bed, or, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He took him time to acclimate himself to.
What was the highest rank that you had attained?
Corporal.
Okay.
They were going to make me sergeant if I stayed in. They were going to make me a color guard. Would be on the color guard in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't want that. I had enough of that type of duty. I would rather gone back to my old division.
Mm-hmm.
There's all rank and file out there, boy. I'm telling you, it was nice. It was good. I was with Vandergrift.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of him?
Oh, we all loved him.
Mm-hmm.
He made commander, you know, and I must have gone through 7, 8 parties he had. He would pick everybody from the 1st Division, and we'd go over to his house. I was the doorman, and after he had his party, and everyone had left, then he would come out, take his tie off. "Come on, boys, come on in, sit down." Had the Navy chefs there, just at 1 o'clock in the morning or so, and we'd all be sitting there eating a beautiful supper. Oh, he was a nice guy. He loved those guys in the 1st Division.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you ever make use of the GI Bill after you left service? Did you make use of the GI Bill?
No.
How about the 5220 Club?
I was at that for how long? I was at that for 6 months. You couldn't get a job.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't get a job.
Where did you eventually get a job?
I got a job, let's see, bonded freeways, truck driver.
Mm-hmm.
The fellow next door worked there, and I tried. That's the job that I got. The day before I was going to go down and sign up for Korea, and I got that job, and I went down there, and I was in trucking all my life. Stayed right with it, petroleum.
Mm-hmm.
Did you join any veterans organizations?
No. I didn't have time for anything. Oh boy, all I did was work.
Did you ever stay in contact with anyone that was in service with you?
Yeah, I had different fellas that Adams I was with on the Guadalcanal, New Britain. We rode for years, and all of a sudden that was it.
Everybody got busy.
Okay. You never went to any reunions or anything?
No.
Okay. How do you think your time in the service changed or had an effect on your life?
It really didn't change me. Because when I got out, I just put it behind me. It went right on with my life. I didn't talk about the war, did I? Discuss it. I just put it behind me and went on and started to get my life together back in, in trucking and
You have to know sometimes a little bit about a person. The first military in Lou's family was in the King Philip's War in 1670.
Oh, really?
And they went, we have the papers, and they were with Miles Standish in Plymouth Colony, okay, in Massachusetts. And then they came into New York State. And we have pictures of, in Boonville, New York, the picture of the, in fact I can show you them, Revolutionary War, Daniel Buck, Civil War, who died in Andersonville, John Buck, War of 1812, Isaac Buck. So, and you've got to remember, Lou was from a North Country family. His father was born in Boonville, New York. These were the settlers of the North Country.
And Albert died in Vietnam.
And, no,
Albert Buck, my cousin.
no, William.
No, Albert Buck died in Vietnam.
Albert Buck, okay, I'm sorry, Albert Buck. I got the wrong guy. And anyway, they have a big history, as you can see, Adirondacks. We're big Adirondack, people. But this is where this is generations. And the Record newspaper did a nice article on Lou. And she was very good at saying, what could he do but go to war with the ancestry that he had behind him. So these people, being North Country, Lou knew how to shoot a gun. He knew what it was to be in the woods. So this wasn't foreign to Lou. Lou didn't go in. This is, as he has often said, when he was in a dugout hole, he said, what the hell am I doing here? And somebody says, we need 10, some commander got up and said, we need 10 volunteers. Lou was the first one. It could have been peeling potatoes, but Lou didn't care. This is how he got into intelligence. That after Guadalcanal, he was good at this. He was good at maps. He was good at knowing where he was. His insight into things was good because he had spent his time in the woods. So he did this, and his papers show that in one of his papers that what he did shortened one of their fights, battles.
You asked me about a memorable time.
So
on
he
New
has
Britain.
a lot of insight.
Sergeant Price and Matola and I, we had to go on patrol. We didn't land with the division. The Army landed in our way. We landed in Tuwali Semeru section. Morgan Bay was the main invasion. We were the roadblock, and we had to stop anything coming through. They sent me out on a patrol. And on the way out, at the end of this trail, there was a little shack. And on the way out, there was only one footprint coming this way, hobnail. So I put it in my mind, and we continued on. We went down, went over the ridge and down in, and climbed up a tree to see where we could see what was coming. Holy Jesus, isn't there a whole string of Japanese coming up through. So come out of that tree. I said, let's go. The way we took off, we didn't run, we just quick pace, back through. Well, you have to remember now, the jungles, where the line was on an open hill. But the jungles, when it's near an open field and that, is thick and dense. And then once you get inside of it, it opens up. We had about 100 yards to go through this dense material, so we're walking through, and holy Jesus, the safeties were going off. Weren't the Japs there? They were overlooking our lines. We walked right into them, and they were throwing the safes off. And we stopped. And Price said, what are we going to do? I said, well, we're going to walk over there, we're going to sit out there, we're going to have a can of K rations. This is the truth. We walked out, we sat there and had the K rations, and we were discussing where to go. We couldn't go back because the Japs were coming up behind us. Here they were there. We didn't know what was here on the right or left. So we sit there, and I remembered what the Coast Watchers said, who told us, you know, in school. Don't forget, they're doing the same thing that you're doing. Give them time, they'll move aside. So that was going through my mind, and we've finished the K rations, and I figured, gee, we gotta do something. So we got up and said, okay, let's go. So where are we going? Right through there. They said, you go. So I let them. The Japs moved aside. We went right on through in the lines. Boy, I'm going to tell you something. I'm glad somebody didn't fire a shot. Because if they had, we were right on top of that, we'd have got it too. Well, we went in and told them the next morning, they hit right there. They took the line. The Marines, when it got light, drove them back out. We captured it.
Lou,
But
tell them how your brother Harry found out about this.
yeah, and Harry,
Wait to hear this.
Harry went to Korea. Now Sergeant Pricer was with me on that detail. Calls Harry. He heard there was a buck there, so he called my brother in. And he said to Harry, "Did you ever, Brother Lewis?" It was a new Britain. And he said, "Yes." He said, "You know what that crazy bastard done?" Because he was with me. And Harry come back and told me all about it, what he was telling him. But I mean, that's the only thing we could do. I couldn't think of anything else, you know.
Price never forgot it.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were right, though. You know, when you went out, you didn't pick a fight. When there 2 or 3 of us went out, you didn't pick fights. You went out to gather information, and I was good at getting that. And you'd bring the information back, but you had to be awful careful. It was you know, I'll tell you something. They could have never made a movie out of the combat patrols I went on. See, we used to go out, find the enemy, come back. The next day, we'd lead the combat patrol back to where we discovered them. And you could never make a movie. Everybody fall asleep. Yeah, because you couldn't hear anybody. Nobody, many minutes they were there, and no noise, no sound, no nothing. Everything was in a whisper and quiet. If they discovered somebody, they would come back and we tell them there's 2 or 3 up there in the front. It was just a normal thing, very quiet. Erase them. And shoot them and right on through and keep right on going. In fact, after Borden Bay, they come in, they got me and 4 or 5 guys, put us on an LST. We went halfway down the island, through the Japanese lines, picked up a native that had killed 2 missionaries, and come back out, got on the ship and brought the native back. Now what they ever did to the missionary, we don't know. But just for during the war. They sent us down to get that guy.
How about your little hunting trip?
Yeah, I'm sleeping in a tent there after the battle. Here come Colonel Masters. He Buck, come on. Get that Tommy gun, let's go. I said, where are you going? He said, well, you know the trails. I said, yeah. He had his aide with him. He says, we're going to go boar hunting. You lead the way. I took him, we went all through the jungle. He wanted to get a boar. And we went all through the jungle trying to find a boar.
And
You find one?
No.
tell them about your adventure at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is the one
Oh,
that scares
Jesus
me.
Christ,
I
I
don't
forgot
care
about
what he
that one.
tells me, this scares me.
I get a call at night. They give a yell out.
Now, where were you?
We was on New Britain. Hey, Buck. Yeah. Come down. He's like, down I go, through the jungles. I'm going through the dense jungles there. I'm walking right along, and Jesus, all of a sudden I walk face to face into a guy. Just like that. And when I did, my hand hit the rifle. And I grabbed it by the barrel. And the guy, he jumps back. And when he did, I had to hold up and he fired. He burned my arm a little bit. The bullet went by. I had the damn Tommy gun slung over my shoulder. And I grabbed my knife. And I gave a roundhouse swing. And the next morning I went back to get my knife. Colonel Master stands there, he said, now tell me, Buck, just where did he come from?
And Lou has,
Somehow or other, he infiltrated the line, and I walked right into him. Jesus, I gotta tell you, it's a funny thing.
but he has the knife. When he got out, Lou said to the guy, I'd like to have this knife.
I got my
He said,
knife.
It saved
You
my
still have it?
Yes.
We got
What was it, a K-bar?
No, mine's a Camillus.
They had to know.
Yeah, I'll get it and show you. This is a good one.
Okay,
Okay,
that,
this is him. And what's this brother's name?
Bob.
Bob? Now, what was he in? What unit was he in?
Bob was in the third, wasn't it?
Or
The third.
Okay.
wait, it's a little too.
Wanted she sharpened a razor.
Yeah, see that. Well, what do you do, sharpen this every night?
no.
Oh, I kept it sharp over there.
And who's this other brother?
That's Harrison. He was in Korea.
I asked him,
Was
you know,
with
when
the
I left,
first
he was
division.
collecting everything, you know. And I asked him if I could keep it to
He
start
was
it.
in the first with Lou.
Here's his knife that he talked about.
It saved
Wait a
his
second.
life. Yep. The knife
I gotta
that
put
saved
that-
his life.
Okay. Got it.
And I don't want you to
Yeah,
laugh. I
yes,
don't
you-
want you to laugh, but we cut our wedding cake with it. No, wait
And,
his age, he did laugh.
Here are his medals.
Those are his commendations. And V for Valor from the Navy.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
He didn't tell you about why he got the V for Valor though, did he? With the raid that they did and got caught, practically got caught.
What's that one?
Watch it.
Your V for Valor, when you went, you and the fellas, the PT boats took
Oh,
you
yeah,
in and you
okay.
went by rubber, oh, he
3 days
has
before the invasion
3 days
Of-
before the
of
invasion.
New Britain.
New Britain, okay.
3 days before the invasion of New Britain, we went, they called us down and put us on three PT patrol, you know, torpedo boats. We went over to New Britain, we got out, got into rubber rafts. We went in,
Okay, go ahead.
and our orders were, if we couldn't get out, to go back in about 2 miles. Well, the guy strikes a match. It started to get light. He strikes a match. And we heard the motor start up. And they come over and they picked us up. We got it on the way out. is there a bunch of Japanese barges coming along. So the guy in the PT boat, he said, you guys want to have some fun? He said, just lay down on the deck. He said, when we go by, he said, we're going to rake them. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Those guys are quicker on the trigger than we were. Bad. One shot went off and holy Jesus, they knocked the boat, the motor, one of the motors out of the PT boat. Well, anyway, we got back, they almost blew the mission. We got back and, you know, they could get the barges in. And when we landed, there was like 25 foot of shore and the barge went right on up where I went in. Open up the door and there you were. Just only had to walk in the ocean about maybe 10 or 15 foot. But we got in. I like that intelligence, so it was, it was different. It was, you know, you weren't charging pillboxes and.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your interview.